Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. We're going to pick two random SoulsBorne bosses. And in honor of Father's Day, this past Sunday, as it were, these two SoulsBorne bosses will do their best to show off their best dad bods. And we will have a panel of judges, and whoever shows off the best dad bod will be the winner. I like these simple contests. It's just really easy for me to set up and do and, whatever. It just makes things a whole lot easier. And I like it when my life is a lot easier. It doesn't happen very often. But here on SoulsBorne Battle to the Death, I have a little more control over such things. So I try to exhibit it whenever possible. So there we go. A dad bod contest here on SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. With SoulsBorne bosses, it should be interesting. So, all right, the battlefield has been cleared. Just about 100 bosses ready for the choosing. So let us see who we are going to land on. Dark Beast Pearl. We never landed on this motherfucker before, and now we land on him 2 weeks in a row. Unbelievable. Dark Beast Pearl, for the second week in a row, has landed. We have landed on him in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. Last week he had to paint a house, and this week he has to show off his best dad bod. So, oh boy. Parl is an interesting boss. I said this last week. He's tough. He's surrounded by electricity. He's a pain in the ass. He's kind of fast. So, yeah. I cannot believe that we have landed once again on Dark Beast Parl. I can't believe. Like I said, pretty close to 100 bosses in here. How do I land on the same boss 2 weeks in a row? I don't freaking understand. We better not land on an Aldrich again. I mean, if we do, we're rolling all over again. We're just starting from scratch. But, we just better not. So we're taking this wheel for another spin. And I have to say that the odds of that happening are very, very low. But, we're going to see what happens here. You never know what can happen on SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. Anything can happen. And we have seen that the past few weeks. So we had a SoulsBorne Battle Royal a few weeks ago. So yeah, interesting times. Interesting times. I never figured out what would happen if I landed on a boss, like in the first spot, and then the second spot I land on the Battle Royal. I don't know what I would do then. Would the boss that I picked be the winner? Actually, I've changed the format of that, so we'll get to that next time I land on the Battle Royal. So for right now, we're not going to worry about that. But in one corner, we have Dark Beast Parl. And in the other corner, we have, it better not be Aldrich, it will be the Moon Presence from the same game, Bloodborne, I'm very sorry. The Moon Presence from Bloodborne. Oh boy, some new bosses in this stretch. I'm going to have to make some new bios. That's always fun and interesting. So we have two bosses from the same game here. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to re-educate myself on the Moon Presence. Obviously, he's one of the last bosses, so he's got to be tough. But once again, looking at these bosses on a level playing field, as always. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens. But first, we have to go to the contractually obligated bio. So let's have a look at Dark Beast Parl. According to the Spark Hunter badge, Dark Beast Parl might be related to or might be Archibald himself, a hunter who was mentioned who created special weapons for the Healing Church using the electricity generated by dark beasts. At some point, Parl was captured and placed in the Hypogean jail, which is obviously where you find him in the game. He's at the bottom, and that is where you fight him. Parl is an aggressive beast. He generates electricity. He is very difficult to fight, but he is somewhat fragile, surprisingly. So that's something that works in your favor. When he gets down to about 25% health, he will enter a second phase where he will become more aggressive and generate even more electricity. So that's fun. If you manage to stagger Parl, it will lose all of its electricity until it's able to recharge itself. So that's a strategy worth keeping in mind. I think I saw in the trivia that Parl is a beast that was designed solely by Miyazaki. So that's pretty cool, because I think Parl is an excellent boss design and just a very cool boss. Very aggressive. Just an ass kicker. I mean, you look at freaking Dark Beast Parl, man, and that's the stuff of nightmares right there. Like a giant hairy beast generating electricity. Yeah, it's not really the kind of thing you really want to be crossing paths with. But Dark Beast Parl is yeah, an interesting sight to behold, that's for sure, and certainly not a boss to take lightly. I think we can all agree that Dark Beast Parl is a worthy pick, a worthy adversary in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. So yeah, it's not a good day if you come across Dark Beast Parl in your normal life, but it's a good day if you come across Dark Beast Parl in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death and you don't have to fight him. So that's basically my opinion on that. The Moon Presence is one of the great ones in Bloodborne, and it controls and manipulates everything inside and around and about the Hunter's Dream, which is where the game of Bloodborne takes place. The Moon Presence's origin is largely unknown, but its first known appearance was through Lawrence, the hunter, I guess, who summoned it for unknown reasons. How Lawrence knew how to do this is also unknown. Perhaps he just decided, if I eat these 1/3 of umbilical cords, something will happen somehow. I have no idea. Before you encounter the Moon Presence in the dream, it had bound Gehrman, the first hunter, to the dream, the Hunter's Dream, which was a tactic seemingly used to fuel its own desire to get rid of the other Great Ones. Whether or not this has to deal with halting the scourge of the beast or the slaughter of the Great Ones is unknown. But the Moon Presence does seem to have its own agenda of getting rid of the other Great Ones, as evidenced by certain notes you find in the game. So I suppose it's kind of interesting that the Moon Presence wants to be the only Great One. Especially since the Great Ones seem to have no malevolent intentions. It just seems kind of odd to me that the Moon Presence does have that particular malevolent intention. But it is what it is, I guess. I guess it just wants to be the one, I suppose. And that's really it in terms of lore when it comes to the Moon Presence. In terms of appearance, in the fandom wiki, it is described as an eldritch being composed of human flesh and bone with the exception of its head. It is covered in dozens of tentacles, mainly in its head, where they resemble hair and tail. Its body is mainly a large human spine and ribs. Moon Presence doesn't have a face. Instead, it only has a hole in its head. So, yeah, basically, in terms of boss design, it's the same type of boss design that Miyazaki uses. Basically a randomizer in his brain that, just comes up with all kinds of different shit, and then basically what he comes up with, he just draws, creates, whatever he does to just create these amazing boss designs that he somehow comes up with. The Moon Presence is an intimidating presence, to be sure, when you first see it. In terms of being a difficult boss, it is certainly not one of the most difficult bosses in Bloodborne, but it will certainly give you some issues. When you first start the fight, it'll attack you with 3-hit combos that cover a very large distance, so its reach is pretty incredible. So you can't really... outrunning it is very difficult. When it reaches half health, it'll start to cast white orbs that explode into blood. It'll cast or apply a debuff that will... It's similar to Numbing Mist, so that can make things very difficult. And perhaps most terrifying of all is that it can unleash an AoE shockwave that can reduce your health down to 1. You cannot avoid this attack. However, when the Moon Presence does this attack, it needs 5 or 6 seconds to recover, which obviously gives you time to recover as well. But, you know, it can be a problem, especially if you don't have any blood vials or things like that, you know. You could be up Shit's Creek without a paddle, so that's a thing as well. Like I said, the Moon Presence is not one of the most difficult bosses in Bloodborne, but it is the final boss, so it still can cause you some problems. And certainly not a boss that you want showing up on a blind date either. I think that goes without saying. And if it does, just pretend you don't know what's going on and, you know, walk right past it and go to your car and leave and go home. And go back to Tinder and try again. I guess that's really all there is to say about that. But as a boss in Bloodborne, it's certainly formidable. And when it comes up in SoulsBorne Battles to Death, you know, it can certainly create some interesting scenarios. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't mind seeing the Moon Presence pop up in Battle to the Death. This is a pretty interesting fight from two competitors in the same game. Dark Beast Parl and the Moon Presence definitely have two opposite ends of how they originate and how they, you know, come to battle in Bloodborne. Is just two very different styles. Just for shits and giggles, I decided to look up the toughest bosses in Bloodborne and came across this list from GameRant.com of the 26 most powerful bosses in Bloodborne. For the record, the Moon Presence ranked number 17 on this list. And to be fair, Dark Beast Parl ranked number 25th. However, you have to remember that I have to bring these bosses up to a certain level. So, the Moon Presence being the final boss in Bloodborne, I have to bring Dark Beast Parl up to the Moon Presence's level. I'm very sorry. And I honestly... Oh, this is very tough. This is very, very tough. I don't know. Parl's fragile, too. Parl is fragile, too. I think if I bring Parl up to the Moon Presence's level, I think there's a chance that Dark Beast Parl wins this fight. I really do. I think there's a chance that Dark Beast Parl beats the Moon Presence. That may be controversial. I don't know. But, I mean, as you all know, the Moon Presence is the final boss in Bloodborne, but, again, not the toughest boss in Bloodborne. And apparently Game Rant thought so, too. It ranked number 17, so... yeah, I think this is a more even fight than people would give it credit for. And I think, once again, as I said last week, when Parl was up against Aldrich, I think Parl is very aggressive. Again, he is kind of fragile, but it is also a thing to get behind the Moon Presence and do some damage. So, yeah, I think Parl stands a chance in this fight, and Parl probably wins this fight. So yeah, that's just how I feel, and I don't know what else to tell you. I think if you put things on an even keel, I think that's just how it ends up. But that's just my opinion. Feel free to leave yours in the comments. And with that, yet another edition of SoulsBorne Battle to the Death draws to a close. RobertBlanchardBooks.com. If you're interested in the award-winning Roar of a Dragon series, you can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. If you'd like to hear more about them, the Rise of Dragons podcast, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. My Linktree, my Instagram, my Twitter are all Bobby's World 2110. Mondays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is right now the Dark Souls Remastered No Estus run. I am currently fighting my way through the Undead Burg and the Undead Parish, and this past episode that just went up will highlight my frustration with the Undead Parish. So if you want to see me kind of sort of starting to lose my mind, that would be the episode to go and check out. So some fun times to be had over there, and along the way I also talk about the Knicks Pacers game 1, the happenings of that. I didn't watch the game, but I did check out the final seconds of it, and I get into the NBA GOAT debate as well. So if you're interested in checking that out, that'll be up on the channel for you to see. And Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is what you're watching right now. SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. We do one of these every week, at least as much as humanly possible. So always plenty of content to check out. And obviously, back in the archives, you can check out the Elden Ring No Crimson Flask run, the Sekiro No Healing Gourd run, and the Dark Souls 3 No Estus run, and the Dark Souls 3 No Level Up run, and all kinds of other stuff. So go back and check that out if you want to. Leave a like, subscribe, notifications, and all that crap. I am not very good at continuing to say that in every episode. I want to thank everybody for all their love and support. My birthday just went by, and as I'm recording this, Father's Day also just went by. Had a great time both times, so I love and appreciate my family very much, and everyone that sent me birthday and Father's Day wishes. You guys are all amazing, and I love and appreciate every one of you. I'm a very blessed human being, and I never ever lose sight of that. So and I am very aware of people around me who are not as blessed, and I love them very much, and I pray for them. So I just want everybody to have the same type of happiness and peace that I generally have in my life. So I think that's all we can really hope for these days. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope everyone has an amazing week. Be well, stay safe, and as always, it's Bobby's World, and you're all just living in it. See you for live, y'all. Bye. What's going on, guys? Thank you for checking out the video today, but I got a question for you. Did you know I wrote a book? Did you know I wrote 3 books? Did you know that they're all part of the same series? The Roar of a Dragon, The Treachery of a Weasel, and The Cry of a Raven. ReadersFavorite.com says that its intensity rivals that of the Game of Thrones series. Now, I personally think that's crazy, but it's not for me to judge. It's for you to judge. Go to RobertBlanchardBooks.com and you can check out the books right now. But wait, that's not all. All 3 books got 5-star reviews in ReadersFavorite.com. These books won the silver medal in the Literary Titan Awards. The Cry of a Raven won silver at the Global eBook Awards. So what are you waiting for? Read about Aiden's dream to become a Knight of Delmar. Read about his death and resurrection. Oops, I gave that away, didn't I? And read about his journey back home from 3,000 years in the future to stop the evil that started in Delmar. Go to RobertBlanchardBooks.com. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. And then, if you're interested, you can buy the books there as well. And if you've already read the books or you just want to hear more about them, you can check out the Rise of Dragons podcast. You can listen to it wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And in every episode, I cover a character from the book, an event from the book, my journey into writing, and everything in between. Ripley, what do you got to say about all this?
Give me a treat or I will end you.
You know she's telling you to check out the books. Go to robertblanchardbooks.com to check out the books or listen to the Rise of Dragons podcast if you want to hear about them. That's all I got to say, and thank you for watching this video.